Good Saturday afternoon to everybody out there. I'm your host, Jason Salzman, and this is, of course, Native News Today, offering up a slew of Native news topics to you every week, and this week is no different. We're excited about our 97th episode, and I mention that because we have 100 coming up. Yes, that's right, the big 100. I look back on some of the old episodes, and it's just hard to believe that we're already going to turn the century mark. So very excited about that, and we'll have something special for you cooked up here in the next 3 episodes. But for right now, I'll tell you about what we got going on this week. We visited with the Muskogee Creek Nation Light Horse Police about some new and innovative ways they have of protecting and serving the Muskogee Creek Nation. That's very exciting. Also, we went to Tahlequah, Oklahoma, and talked with the Cherokee Nation Health Services Group about some exciting things they have going on, including taking over some facilities that have long been under the wing of the Indian Health Service. Also, we're going to look at the Week of the Young Child here at the Muskogee Creek Nation. Chief ADL is out to make a proclamation and a wonderful nationwide event that goes on every year there. And also, we're going to take a look at the last leg of the arrow making documentary with Mike Berryhill and tell us about some Creek culture there and finishing up everything with that wonderful series. So, with all that being said, we got a full plate on this week's episode of Native News Today. So, go get something to drink, get a little break. We'll be right back and we'll get things going with Native News Today.
Here we are in Club Trifecta, and it looks like there's dance-off going on. And there's MC Butts looking like he's about to butt in somewhere he don't belong. It looks like MC Butts just got beat down, and I knew there was something smelly about this dance-off competition, and it was MC Butts. Now Club Trifecta is a great place to be healthy and get your groove on.
Hey, this guy over my left shoulder here, other than me, of course, is Mr. Jay Lone Wolf, and he is with the Muskogee Creek Nation Light Horse Police in charge of special operations. And rather than sit here and talk about it for a long time, I'll just let you listen to the story. I'm here with Jay Lone Wolf, the Deputy Chief of Special Operations for the Muskogee Creek Nation Light Horse Police. And Jay, first of all, I just want to thank you for being with us today, taking time out of your busy schedule, but also got a lot of stuff going on with Light Horse, and is going to catch up with you guys.
We sure do. Like you said earlier, I'm the Deputy Chief of Special Operations, and some of my responsibilities, duties and responsibilities, supervise the canine officers, the narcotics officers, the criminal investigators, and also dispatch. So within the realm of those, 4 different areas, we had several significant events that we'd like to share with you guys today. One of the first things that we did was our 2 canine officers, Patrick Williams and Ben Webb, recertified their police canines. Patrick Williams has a German Shepherd canine, and Ben Webb has the Belgian Malinois, and that they're used to help the Muskogee Creek Nation Light Horse in the community detect narcotics, and it's one of our tools that we use to detect narcotics and try to keep them out of our jurisdiction.
And that's one of the things I know that you and I know Jack Shackelford's talked with me before about. A lot of problems in some of the casinos and some of the areas around the Creek Nation dealing with the drug problem and everything and trying to get that weeded out. How do you guys think you're doing with the canine units and everything in that regard?
Well, like I said, we're just trying to address the problem as it comes to us, and we'd like to do a lot of prevention as well as what we have.
You talked about some of the things you've had going on here lately, some successful operations. Go a little bit into detail, if you can, about what some of those are specifically.
Well, some of the operations that we had, we just did a tobacco compliance check. What we did with that was in cooperation between the Attorney General's Office, Muskogee Creek Nation Light Horse, and Muskogee Creek Nation Tobacco Prevention Program. We all got together, we did a little bit of planning, and we put together an undercover buyer compliance check. What we did was, within the exterior boundaries of the Creek Nation of Oklahoma, which covers about 11 different counties, what we did was there are 32 smoke shops. We broke down into teams of 3. We had 2 officers. It was 2 officers and 1 youth volunteer that had been previously trained by the Tobacco Prevention Program. They were given a set of instructions to check compliance with the smoke shops. They're properly trained in this, and they were supervised by a Creek Nation Light Horseman at all times. So what we did was we went out and did compliance checks. We had set up an undercover type buy. We had marked bills. We maintained a thing of marked bills. We gave the volunteers the marked bills, and what they were charged with doing was they were going in attempt to buy tobacco. Out of the 26 of the 32 that we ran compliance checks with, we only had 4 that sold to our underage people. So
That's a good number, right?
it is a real good number. And what we're trying to do is, and we weren't trying to come down on the smoke shops or the communities. What we're trying to do is promote awareness and accountability. That's all we're
Absolutely
doing.
right. And today here, you also, not only those kind of groundbreaking activities, but today you got some training going on here at the Mound Building. And you guys are just nonstop coming up with new and better and effective ways to sort of patrol the Muskogee Creek Nation, right?
Yes, tribal law enforcement is very progressive right now. I mean, there's a lot of things that we're doing, and one of the things is we're trying to make our officers more competent, and we're making them very to be highly trained and to address the emerging contemporary issues that we have in law enforcement. And one of the things that we did today was, in conjunction with the Tulsa Police Department, what they did was they came down and they held a class on the narcotics test kits that we have. It's one of the tools that we use in order to presumptively test narcotics and help us test the whatever substance that we come in contact with. So it's just another tool to help us identify and address specific areas of concern.
Well, like you said there, Jay, you guys are progressing and doing a wonderful job protecting and serving the A County boundary of the Muskogee Creek Nation, and certainly wish you guys all the safety out there, but also keep up the good work because you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
And one thing we'll have to figure out how we can weed out Sprint Williams out of this operation. Let's see if we can do that. Huh?
One of the things I forgot to add in there
Yeah.
was one of our dispatchers, Amber Sands. She completed the Oklahoma Law Enforcement Telecommunication service. It was a four-day school that she completed, and what that does for her, it's a requirement by the state of Oklahoma. The Muskogee Creek Nation Law Enforcement, we use the OLETS network to help our officers. Some of the tools that we can use OLETS for is to check vehicles, see if they're stolen, and check their status. We can check a person's driver's license, their status, and we can also check to see if they are wanted in the United States of America for major crimes that may have been committed. We can also teletype and do information sharing with other agencies to kind of help us, and we can help the community as well. And that's just a great tool. And in addition to that, they provide dispatching, communications to our officers. They're the vital link that helps us, that directs us some of our activities where we need to go. So it's very, very important. And like I said, it adds to the overall professionalism of the department that we are getting this additional training and that we're doing these things to better the Muskogee Creek Nation Light Horse.
Absolutely, and a new building to boot with all the rest of that. So want to say it's a great having a secure feeling knowing that you guys are out there protecting and serving us here in the Muskogee Creek Nation, and keep up the good work, Jay. It was good seeing you today.
All right, thank you.
Our next stop was in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, as we talked to the group leader of the Cherokee Nation Health Services Group about some new projects they have going on and some new health facilities that have come up within the Cherokee Nation, as well as taking over the W.W. Hastings Hospital there in Tahlequah, the Indian hospital that has served Native Americans in this state for many, many years. And they're very excited about those new ventures, and we were able to talk to them about that. I'm joined right now by the group leader for the Cherokee Nation Health Services Group, Miss Melissa Gower, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about a historic day, really, in the Cherokee Nation, taking over the W.W. Hastings Hospital here in Tahlequah for the Indian Health Service. What does that do for the health services here at Cherokee Nation?
The reason that we wanted to look at that is because currently we provide all of the outpatient care, and Hastings Hospital provides all of the inpatient care for this service area. Which means that it's a fragmented healthcare system. So the main reason that we wanted to look at that, the feasibility of it, was to be able to offer a consolidated healthcare system so that the patient would not know the difference whether they went to one of our clinics or to the hospital. Currently, we do not have a shared database, so you have to repeat information at both facilities where you get your inpatient or your outpatient care. So we think by consolidating, it's going to provide better better coordinated care for the patient and also allow physicians and the healthcare providers to be able to provide more coordinated care
Yeah, and that's
and
basically
continuity of care.
absolutely, and that's basically what it equates to is better care for the patient.
Absolutely.
That's the one thing that you were trying to get to, and this has been in the works for a little bit now. I know you can't go into all the details, but I know this has been something on the minds of your group for quite a while now.
Well, in 2001, Health Services did a long-range plan for our service delivery, and we identified different levels of service. And so one of the items in the long-range plan was to complete our consolidated healthcare system. So that's really when the planning was first looked at. In January of this year, we actually announced our intent to enter into a planning process under self-governance with Indian Health Service. We consolidated 21 planning teams consisting of representatives from Hastings Hospital and from Cherokee Nation, who had 5 weeks of intense planning by discipline. Those reports were all turned in, which completed our planning process. They were all very, very positive. The administration and staff at Hastings Hospital have been very encouraging and supportive of this project. And I think a lot of that probably comes from just being able to eliminate numerous levels of federal bureaucracy.
Yeah, absolutely. In any circle that you look at, that's one of the best solutions is to get rid of just the bureaucracy and all the levels you have to go through, like you said there. And really, it does make sense. But such a great facility with such great doctors and staff on hand, right here in the backyard of the Cherokee Nation, and you guys now have that. That's got to be great. And I know that for the health services group, it's just another feather in the cap. But what are some of the future plans you have, and some of the things you're doing in the process right now that you can talk about here?
Okay. Well, we have a vision for health care for northeastern Oklahoma. And that vision includes some of the initiatives that we have going now. We just completed the Three Rivers Health Center in Muskogee. We just completed a new health center in Nowata, the Will Rogers Health Center, to make those both level 2 comprehensive outpatient health care centers. We were just approved for a joint venture project for Veneta, which we have a very small nurse practitioner clinic now that will be a comprehensive level 2 clinic. And then the Hastings Hospital, and then also we have some business development opportunities that we are pursuing and developing in northeastern Oklahoma to complete making us a center of excellence, if you will, for Indian health care.
That's great. And like you said, all those places talking about not only when we went and did a piece not too long ago on the Three Rivers, and it's just a beautiful facility, almost like a museum that's also a health center. But they talked about how not only can Cherokee people get care there, all Indian people can get care there as well. So not only taking care of the Cherokees, but all Indians as well. And you guys are doing a great job. So keep up the good work.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
A downtown parade here in Altmauge marked the Week of the Young Child here at the Muskogee Creek Nation, and we were there, and we want to give you a look at what all went on. All right, they just let the balloons go here in front of the Mound Building to signal the start of the Week of the Young Child here at the Muskogee Creek Nation. A great scene. She looked behind us, all the kids letting their balloons go. We'll have a few words from Chief Ellis, the coordinator of this great event, and how special it is for the people and for these young kids here at the Muskogee Creek Nation for the Week of the Young Child.
Proclamation by Chief A.D. Ellis of the Creek Nation of the Week of the Young Child. Whereas the Creek Nation, Head Start, and Child Care and other local organizations, in conjunction with the National Association for the Education of Young Children, are celebrating the Week of the Young Child, April 14th, 19th. Whereas these organizations are working to improve early learning opportunities, which are crucial to the growth and development of young children, and to building better futures for everyone in the Creek Nation. Whereas all young children and their families across the country and in Creek Nation deserve access to high-quality early education and child care. Whereas in recognizing and supporting the people, programs, and policies that are committed to high-quality early childhood education as the right choice for kids. I, A.D. Ellis, Chief of the Creek Nation, do hereby proclaim April 14th, 19th, 2008, as the Week of the Young Child in Oklahoma and the Creek Nation, and encourage all citizens to work to make a good investment in early childhood Oklahoma.
Well, this is a national event that's going on all over the country, and as the Creek people, we think it should, we should do something special just for our Creek kids. So we have invited the child care program to help us in this, and just give the kids and the providers and the families support that they need for raising their children. There's a lot of programs, things that are going on in Tulsa and in the surrounding areas also. Well, I've been with the Head Start program. This is my 20th year. I started out as a teacher aide and worked my way up. And it's just been a joy working with the children, because when I first started out, this was not my live stream, working with children. But once I got started with them, just watching them grow and watching that little light bulb go off when they get something, and it's just wonderful watching them grow up. And a lot of our children are graduating from college and high school, and it's just a good thing to watch them grow up.
For the last segment this week, we will pick up with Mike Berryhill, our cultural expert here on Native News Today, and really our cultural advisor. Does everything with the bows and makes the arrows and everything like that. And we're going to look at making cultural, traditional Muskogee Creek arrows to go with those bows. So Mike's going to wrap it up here for us this week. Everybody enjoy this piece.
What did they use to cut a fletching with? But if you could lay that down, I'm using an old board here, and this is all this is muscle that's came out of a creek, and if you open them up, they're like a clamshell, and they got a real sharp edge on them. But let me show you one thing first about splitting this thing. I'm kind of getting strung out on this. Okay. Obviously, you don't use the whole feather. Sometimes you can. But what I was wanting to get the point over is, how do they cut a fletching? I don't know if that's going to really show up too good or not. That ain't gonna. Might have to cut on that. Let me try another. Okay. I really couldn't do probably as well with the scissors, and that's what I use to do that with. But this is a real thin little mussel shell that I cut that feather with, and it cut it pretty straight. And I'm thinking they probably used a lot of these, because you can find these in creeks just literally by the thousands. And after these things open up, they already got a ready-made cutting edge on it. So that's what you got right there. And you could probably, I mean, if you can visualize some men sitting around with feathers, when they were making feathers, some were cutting out and splitting them, but there's a way to do that. But this is probably what they used to cut the feather or the fletching with. Now, I need to show you the difference in a feather, right wing, left wing feather. And you don't mix your feathers whenever you're putting them on an arrow. You got to use either one side or the other. So how do you determine which is the left and right wing? And it's good to study that whenever you're, say, taking the feathers off of a bird of some type. And of course your turkeys have got some of the biggest feathers than any bird around. So they're excellent for fletchings. Okay, now this feather here is a right wing feather. Okay, the way you determine that is this here is one of the feathers that comes off on the outer edge of the wing, and it's really wore down and it's real short, and this is what catches the wind right here. And I think nature created that fowl to where this feather here doesn't really grow, but the one on the inside that catches all the pressure of the air for it to fly grows quicker, and you got more of a feather there on the right wing. But this is the way you tell. The flatter, shorter side, if it's on, say, like if you're looking at face up, this here would have been an outer right wing feather right there. And of course the other, this is the left wing, on the left wing, because it's shorter on the opposite side. So you never want them mixed. This is a feather you use for the fletching right here, right there. The one that takes the flight, and that's one that's going to take the flight of the air, help the air to fly. That's the part you want to use. So it's good to be able to identify which wing feather is which. And then you got your tail feathers. That's a fan right there you can use for fletching, and that's this arrow there that's been used to fletch from the tail feather.
Mike mentioned the different style of that fletching.
Okay. Now, this is an old southeastern style fletching, and the only tribe that they can come up with in documentation is your Uchis. Use this tail feather for this particular. It's unique in the way it's fletched on that river cane, because you just got two feathers that are lashed down to the river cane, but it's cut in a way that you kind of have to pay attention to how it's cut. See how you cut the whole feather, and then you cut out a portion of it to lash down. Now I have seen feathers where you had a whole feather on, two whole feathers lashed down, but this one here has a cutout on it, if you can see that. Now some tribes used your wing feather with this same fletching design on arrows, but your Uchis are the only ones that use a tail feather like this on arrows back in the southeast. Now these tail feathers, it's interesting on this also because your pilots will also tell you about rudder effect, and this tail is kind of like a rudder, and they'll tip that tail feather. If you see one in flight, sometimes you'll see that tail kind of tip to one side, and it catches the air, and it'll turn that bird, just like a pilot turns his aircraft, I guess. But you got a right tail feather and you got a left tail feather also. They're not all, they look all the same, but they're not. In fact, right in the middle is a dividing line right there. And if you study these tail feathers, now this one's been treated to where I can't spread the fan open. But see how you got an outer that's flat? You got hardly any feathers on this side, just like the wing feathers. See that outer edge right there? See how that is? And opposite over here. It's almost basically just like your right wing, left wing. So you got a left tail feather and right tail feather. So that'll tell you one thing. Well, don't mix them up. So, but tail feathers can be used too. Okay. Now, in cutting my feathers, I will use a little fixture I made to cut all my feathers out. And here I've got a lot of them cut up. These are split wing feathers. And these here are left wing feathers. And how could I tell? Because they're already cut up. Well, you've got a smooth surface, and then you got a rough surface on one side. And that's how you tell your left from right. And I can tell these because obviously I've done a few arrows and messed with feathers quite a bit. But this here I'll show you. This is the left wing, and I use this portion only. And that's your left feather right there. Just like you see it. But you can spend a long time splitting these things out, and you have to learn how to do that if you're going to do your own arrows. Here's some here that I split in longer lengths.
All right, looks like it'll put the old kibosh on the episode for this week. We're going to take off here, and want to say thank you, everybody, to tuning in. I want to say thank you in advance for tuning in next week, because I know you will. Have a great week. We'll do the same. This is Jason Salzman. For all the good people here at Native News Today, we'll see you next week.